Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to come to you guys with this because I feel like it's maybe finally ready. It's going to be a rocky road, but I still want to bring you guys along. So let's start talking about it. So I've been doing the content creation thing for mostly tactical games for a good while now. And while it's been fun making the videos for you guys myself, or bringing in my small group of friends in and playing a few games and uploading that, I felt like I needed to do more to actually bring in you guys and play with you. And I started to think, well, how am I going to do that? What's the best way to bring a bunch of people into a game and play? And then I thought, well, Ground Branch. Ground Branch is pretty good, and that's a fun game. But that game is, got a small restriction on the amount of players. So if I wanted to play with a lot of people, I would have to split it up in different time frames. And then I thought about Ready or Not, but it suffers the same situation. And then I thought Direct Contact, but I don't think it's quite there yet. It's still in pre-alpha access, and not everybody's got access to it. So all of that landed me on ARMA. And that led me into the rabbit hole of dedicated servers. Which, I don't know if you've ever gotten into dedicated servers, but they're a pain to set up. Or at least they were the way I was trying to do it. Turns out they're actually pretty simple when you find the right server host company, which I think I have. Because I didn't want this just to be a thing where I get to play with you. I wanted it to be a home for MILSIM-minded people so that y'all could play with each other in absence of me. Or if I'm there, we could all play together. I just felt like it could be so much more than just a random community event here and there. And now we're here. All of that to say, right here, right now, today, I am opening up an ARMA unit. It's called STAC, the Strategic Tactical Asset Coalition, and we've actually had a couple of videos on the channel involving STAC, but it just hasn't been large scale. It's been me and my select few buddies jumping into a Ground Branch mission, running through it, and calling it good. This is going to be bigger. So in order to explain to you my plan for this and what is going to be open, I'm going to jump into the whole process. That way I can break it all down. And that means we're going to be jumping into Discord. So I'm going to have a link down below to the Discord channel. This is the STAC Discord. This is different from the Tactician's Toolbox that you've probably seen, may even be a member of. This is going to be completely separate. I thought about integrating it, but it would just involve a lot. You'll have a specific role in the Tactician's server as STAC, but it will, be different. Like I said, this is the STAC server. This is what you will see the first time you join. You'll have to accept the rules, obviously, but then you'll see this top portion here, STAC application. You open that, and it'll bring you up to this page. From here, there'll be a link to an application form, and you just hit the link. So you may ask, why an application? Why not just let everybody come in? And I use the term application because it's the most simple, but more so what it is just for me to get to know you and make sure that you've got a bit of a passion for this MILSIM thing. Because MILSIM really is what you make of it. For example, if Warzone, if everyone in the lobby played it like it's a MILSIM game, it could be one of the best ones out there, minus the pink guns. So I feel like if we bring in people who are committed to the MILSIM, hardcore, let's take it serious mindset, and we bring those people into one big group, it can be absolutely epic. So that's the reason for the application. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of what's in the application, but keep in mind, it's more so just for me to know what you're about and make sure that you really want to do this MILSIM stuff. So let's jump back into it. Okay, so this is the application. First, we just have what STAC is, kind of the lore behind it. Multinational group of operators, meaning we're not bringing in people just from the US. And I make a point here. If you haven't played MILSIM games much and or have no real life experience via military, law enforcement, etc., don't let this discourage you from applying. We want passion. Tactics can be taught. That's a big thing. Obviously, name, age, time zone, just so I know, where all of our guys are coming from if we ever want to do a video. So this is team interest. So because we're using ARMA, we're going to be able to have a myriad of roles. Roles will probably end up being added to this as time goes on. But this is just kind of the very bare bones basic. What unit of STAC do you have interest in? So right now we have the ground team, which are your boots on the ground guys, your entry team, riflemen, machine gunners, tiger team, whatever you want to call it. We also have our sniper team. We have the air asset team, which is pilots and UAV operators. Our air asset team, which is pilots and UAV operators, depending on what you tell us later on down the line, if whether you're more of the pilot side or the UAV side, we'll figure that out. So MILSIM consultant. There's a few roles here that I want to talk about, but mostly the non-operational role, if only selection. So what I mean by non-operational is if we made a video, you wouldn't be in the video, right? You wouldn't be running around playing. You don't have to only do this. If you were actual prior military, I would recommend hitting this. If you're actual law enforcement, I would recommend hitting this in addition to whatever else you wanted to do. What this would be is, let's say we're, planning an operation, right? And we say, hey, we want to run it this way. Is that about how it would be done in real life? And we would come to you and you'd be able to tell us, they might actually try this or that, or well, that heli might need this kind of escort from this heli, stuff like that. I feel that's going to be a pretty cool role. It's going to help us a lot in the realism aspect. But there's a couple of roles like that. So the other one here is the scenario builder. Let's say you've got a ton of experience in the editor in ARMA, and you want to strictly make missions. You want to improve on the training grounds, which we're going to take a look at later. This is what your position would be, scenario builder. I wouldn't want the scenario builder to be involved in the missions just because obviously they would know what's going on because they built the mission for us. Obviously, if they had no role in building it, they could play. So there's a bit of a flex that's allowed here. Technical operator, this will be tanks, trucks, boats, land assault vehicles, stuff like that. Communications, JTAC, if you want to be calling in missiles and handling radio comms. And then we also have cameraman. This is just one I threw in because I think it'd be pretty cool. If you like that kind of stuff, if you like the behind the scenes of videos and you want to get involved in that, your job in a video we did would be to get cool shots the whole time. That would kind of be, sorry, there's something weird on my monitor. That would be your job. Your job would be getting cool shots, recording all of that and getting it sent so we can make pretty cool videos. If you have any experience real life or in-game that makes you most suitable for the role. If you have specific hours in games, let me know. That's just to kind of, vet that a little bit. Like if you wanted to be a pilot and you were like, I'm a great pilot. And I'm like, well, how many hours you got? It just gives me a little something to look at. What tactical games do you currently possess? If you're unsure if it's tactical, put it down anyway. So this I put in because this isn't going to be specifically for ARMA. This is going to be across a myriad of games. Direct contact, ready or not, ground branch. It's going to be different stuff. So that way I know, hey, if I'm going to make a ground branch video, I know guys that I can call on to have them come into the video to help me out. So that's the reason I asked that. So also we have availability. Again, this is one that doesn't really matter. This is just one that I want to know. That way I know if I can call on you if I'm like, idea, let's do a video next week. I need this guy. Do you have time? I want to know if I can call on that person or if I need to call on somebody else, or I can't really call on that guy because he's never really got time. Again, simply for that reason. This one's a joke. My time is dedicated to the unit calling me 24/7. Joke. More than a few is plenty enough. So scrolling down from that, do you have recording software in case I wanted multiple angles of a video or something? Language, while operations, trainings, and events would be conducted in English, we'd like to know any and all languages you are fluent in. Socials, if you have any like MILSIM related content, more so I'm just curious and I want to see it, so throw that down there. And also very important, do state your Discord affiliation or your name so we can hit you up on Discord. Then you'd fill all that out, you'd submit it, and it would notify me. I'll look over it and I'll get in touch with you as soon as I can. Another route you could go is you could find the STAC actual unit in ARMA. It's an actual unit. You could go to their profile, bam. And then from there, you could hit join. It will let you email us. And once you email us, we'll send you the application so you can fill it out and get it back to us. So that's that. So that is the application process. Again, it's simply just to see what our involvement is. It lets me know a little bit about you before you join the unit versus just having a bunch of people I've never heard of and know nothing about. I want this to be a community, and part of being in a community is knowing each other. So that's a big part of it. Go ahead and talk about what you would get as a part of being in the unit, what you'd get access to. Let's talk about that. So like I've spoke about, I've done a whole dedicated server for ARMA, so all of our missions would be hosted through the dedicated server, which is in New York. And most importantly, this would be up all the time, regardless of whether my computer is on, regardless of if I'm running that mission or not. It is available to you 24/7. So you could jump in with yourself or your friends or your team and jump in and train anytime you want. It's easy to join into it. It's simple. It's so cake compared to playing ARMA like I have in the past. And while the game's loading in for me, that's another thing I want to talk about. ARMA is a huge learning curve. It's a very complex game. Totally agree with you. I am totally willing to teach you. There's a lot of stuff. Once we get in here into the training grounds, you're going to see I've set up a lot of it to kind of give you like a basics. It gives you an area to run around, play, figure out keybinds, enjoy it. It's a fantastic game, but it's a hell of a learning curve. Don't let the word ARMA push you away from this. Please join. It's fantastic. All right, so here we are actually in ARMA. Once you get access, you would get the IP for the STAC dedicated server. You would click on that and you would do join, and it would start its process of getting you into the STAC training grounds. All right, so from here, you're going to have several roles. Obviously, Infantry 1 and Infantry 2. Ignore this guy. I've got to remove him. I'm going to do that. That was a test guy. I'm going to remove him afterward. But we've got 2 teams of infantry. So again, these are your gunners, your boots on the ground guys, right? You're going to have spots for them. There's a team lead spot, and then there's there's 6 riflemen behind them. Team lead, I would recommend you have a little bit of ARMA time because people are going to come to you and ask you questions. But if you're uncomfortable with it, if you're learning it, jump in rifleman. The officers, these are going to be for the admin. Some of the guys that I've got who put in some time in ARMA, I'm giving them the officer positions. That way, and they also know some of the server side stuff. So they're going to log in as officers. Tanks is going to be crewmen. This is a LAV, so land assault vehicles. These are tanks, APCs, different stuff like that. So that's where they would load in. We have 4 of those slots, 4 sniper slots. We have 6 combat medic slots. If you want to be a combat medic, if you have EMS experience, gosh, I would love to have you join this. If you have combat medic experience, gosh, I'd love to have you join this. Because there is so much in ARMA's ACE that there are crazy meds you can run that, like, you gotta know what you're doing. And I would love to see someone get in here and give it that much time. The UV team, that's the unmanned vehicles. That's our drones, like big drones, not like the backyard toys. Big drones. There are small drones, little like tank robots, all kinds of stuff. Heli pilots, there's 3 of those. I would love to see some and jet pilots, there's 3 of each. Would love to see some really good pilots jump into this server. And again, we've got our other infantry team. So do base. I'm gonna run in as rifleman. All right, you guys, so we just loaded in here. This is actually one of the first rainy days. What was that? I went British all of a sudden. This is one of the first rainy days that I've seen in the game so far. So kind of cool. There's a few billboards when you first load in. You'll be looking right at them, and that kind of give you a basics of what's going on in the server. So you have the server rules, which are pretty basic amongst, like dedicated servers. Common keybinds, so just things to keep in mind, like how to bring up the ACE interaction menu, the self interaction and the other interaction, how to do your radio, different stuff like that. More keybinds. These are armory crates, so you'll see these around the training ground. I'm gonna go over here. You get close to it, go to Arsenal, and it'll load you in. And from here, you can play Tactical Barbie to your heart's extent. You can run pretty much anything you'd like within your, obviously your class. So you can do anything you want there. The radio system is fantastic in ARMA. We use TeamSpeak 3, which allows for long-range comms, short-range radios, different channels on the radio. So each unit will have a specific radio frequency, as you see over here. And you'll be able to key into that frequency, and you guys can chat, pick sub-frequencies if you need to. So there'll be a lot of options there for different stuff. So also in the map here, we can check your map for your units like training area. So we have the UV team, which will be over here. So the drone guys. We have a plane yard here for jet pilots. We have the heli yard, a shooting range, shoot houses, a movable shooting range, which we'll look at in a second here. Land assault vehicle parking, medic training, spawn. Command staff would spawn up here. Also, this down here is the land assault vehicle training area. There are several tanks and things like that positioned around this area that you can take shots at in the tanks and stuff, and they respawn I believe I set it to a couple minutes after they respawn. So you can ride around and test that stuff and practice. And you have a whole different practice area here. We'll get in a heli later and fly over this stuff. Live fire training scenario. There are bad guys in this house area that you can go over to, and you can, fight them. And I'm working on having them respawn and reset once Blue 4 or we leave the area. That way you can just run through it over and over. Then we have the long-range firing range. Long-range firing range? The sniper range, which allows for far more distant shots. So let's go ahead and take a tour around this area. Also, the admins are going to wear either a white hat and or a flag on their back. That's just so that they're identifiable, so that if you guys need anything, you can grab one of them. If you have issues with the server or permissions or anything like that, you can get in touch with them easy and try to find them and get your issue resolved. In the event of injury, if there's like an accidental friendly fire or something, you can try to medicate yourself if it's minor. If it's major, try to be MILSIM with it, right? We hopefully would have medics in the server at the time you got hurt, and if that happened, we'd prefer you use those medics so that they get the training and that it just completes that MILSIM picture, right? But there's also an auto heal area that we'll take a look at here in a second that you can use if no medics are online. When you spawn in behind you, there's the loadout area there, and there's one over there. But you'd have several vehicles at your disposal to go wherever your training is. And there's also several four-wheelers over here as well. We're going to grab... Actually, no, we're going to grab an actual ride. So right here are some of the land assault vehicles. There's other ones in that area that we took a look at earlier. But there's also some here that you could drive over there or just drive around the base carefully. Leaving from there, right next door, we have the medic training area, which is really cool. So let me get out of here. So yeah, the medic training area is pretty wild. We've got this spawner here and also billboards behind to kind of teach you some of the ACE basics. Medic tool, what medic equipment, like what bandages and stuff help which injuries the best. It's very involved. That's why my medics, I really want them to be in here the most, getting a lot of training, just because it is pretty hard to get a handle of. Learning the regular blood pressures, casualty states, what else we got here? Useful notes about, like, morphine. So you can't have more than one morphine within 10 minutes because you will overdose. And then, like, what each one does. So over here to this, if we open this menu up and do create patient, that'll open up, and it's going to spawn a guy in the center who's injured. He'll collapse to the ground, and we can run over to him and actually start working his injuries. We can apply tourniquets. We can apply bandages, splints. Medics are able to use suture kits to, prevent further injury. It's a beautiful thing. And like I said, there's a ton of drugs and things like that that the medics are able to run. You can do transfusions in the field. There's so much stuff here. I'm not going to run through the whole medic on this guy, but we've kind of patched him up a little bit here. And then once we're done with him, this thing's been a little buggy. Delete patient. Good, it worked that time. Sometimes it doesn't delete the guy in the middle, in which case, just drag him off the tarp. In here is like the main area for the medics. These are not actual players. There's supposed to be a guy right there. I don't know where he's at. So this area, just beyond this sign, is the auto heal area. So if you were in the lobby and there were no medics in the server, you could run into it. It'll white flash your screen, but it heals all of your injury automatically. Those guys are also just, they're not actual people. So that's the medic area, and there's also a helipad if you ever needed to bring somebody in who's severely injured. Let's go this way. So I'm also got, as you can see here, several areas that don't have anything. A little bit of a place to work out here. I want to keep those open for now as options. That way we can, implement, if somebody has an idea of like, hey, it'd be cool to have this kind of an area, I'll be able to implement that. So this is one of the firing ranges. There's multiple targets that when you shoot them, they fall over. And there's some that are like tougher to hit, like that guy under there, or that one between two hostages. There's these little plates that you can knock down. Another tough shot. And there's just some close-up stuff. There's also dueling stations right here. So you could play back in there. This is here. So now we can, you know, do different shoots. Gotta figure out our height over bore here. You can actually do full-on, like, rollover shots in this game. So pretty amazing stuff. I like that we can move these around. And that's going to become huge in this other area. There's also more areas to customize your loadout and medic boxes if you need medic equipment. While we're driving by it, we're going to take a look at this. These are some of the sea vehicles or water vehicles. I got a couple of boats, a couple of little John boats that you can take out at your leisure. We don't have a water assault team. Maybe in the future. That might be kind of cool. Let me know. This next area is going to be the unmanned vehicle team, the UV team. We'll take a look at some of the stuff they get to play around with. They get these little rolly guys, pretty big tanks on there. Then the really small ones, they're on the left. And we've got some of the smaller drones here. And again, customization areas. There's also a drone on top of the medic building. That way we could fly supplies to somebody if they needed them in the field. Right over here. What are you at? What are you at? The UV team also gets access to a Reaper drone. Kind of a stealth bomber version of a Reaper drone. And the Yabon, which is kind of the ARMA version of the Reaper drone. But they get to fly those things around. Another cool feature that would be to have would be like an actual air traffic controller, like a guy who's willing to be air traffic control in the server. That would be wicked too. I would love to get this thing operational to the point that it feels like we're on a base. I think that'd be a lot of fun. We've got this, which is another drone. Then we've got this model, which is absolutely stunning. It's a Apache type helicopter. I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't want to sound stupid. But crazy detailed. Like when you get in it, it gives you a warning of like, hey, you might need to read the manual. Way beyond my skill level, but someone who's into it and would know that stuff is going to have a blast with it. Moving over here, we've got like full-on C-130s. We've got our jets. We're moving into our jet field here. Like I said, a few jets over there. We've got this C-130. You got that one. A few more jets. You got some Warthogs in there as well. Some different types of jets. Let's keep moving. And then way down here, we've got the heli yard, where we've got an array of options. Obviously, we got the Little Bird. We've got some like Huey types. This thing is also a beast. Tell you what, let me hop on in. I'm not going to try to fly it. I have, but it is a struggle bus. We're going to get in the actual cockpit. But as you can see, it is a lot to learn. And there are full-on mods that further increase the realism of these helicopters. And if you get in here and you're an experienced pilot and you know of these mods and you want to see them implemented, let me know. I'm more than willing to throw them into the server. That way you guys can have all the more better experience. Totally willing to do that. There's also an aircraft carrier out there. First one to actually land on that thing and have video evidence of it, I'll give you something. I don't know what, but we'll do something for you. Maybe we'll put a plaque up or like a billboard with your name on it or something. I think that'd be cool. See, that'd be another fun thing to have like awards. But anyway, flip in the whip. So this area is much like the other area. So we can drag all of these things. So if I walk over to this, I can hold my left Windows key and do carry. And then I can actually move this over here. And it'd be good on like rainy days to come in here. So I can throw that down there. So I could do some training over on this side. Been bugged out for a second there. And these things aren't made to be movable. I've just got a mod on here that lets them be movable. So expect some bugs. Let's see. There's also some walls that you can move around. These targets can be moved around. You just, again, left Windows key, carry. And you can put them wherever you want them. You can grab these guys, which are full-on like windows and panels. You can move them around. you could edit this whole area to be what you wanted it to be. It is your sandbox. Range. They're right here. This is one of them. There's an outdoor one and there's an indoor one. So we can hop out. So yeah, these little areas here, you can enter them. And then they're little like CQB areas to train in. So yeah, that's one of them, and there's another one over there. We won't go tour through that one. And there's also this area over here, which is the indoor shoot house. I did try to place these four-wheelers here and there throughout the server. That way, you know, your vehicles, you're hopefully always within a reasonable distance of a vehicle. But the server will reset every 2 days. So every 2 days, the server will reset. That way, all the vehicles go back. If stuff got moved, lost, destroyed, it goes back. That way, you can always, you know, the server won't be doomed. But again, it's just another clear house where you can move through and clear. We're going to go over to the helis and try to get one successfully over to the other training areas. Now, as far as getting over here, again, if there's pilots in the server, use the pilots. But if there are no pilots in the server, then I'm considering making like a teleport thing. But if that's not able to work, well, it would work. But at that point, I would say either drive to the location or try to fly yourself carefully. All right, so this would be the long-range training facility. Again, we've got more of the loadout areas here. And I don't have a sniper rifle on me, so this is going to be a little tough, but I'm going to prone out here. So you can see out in the distance we have different targets. We've got, you know, that one way over there, that guy there. We've got more guys around a car over here. I do plan to add more stuff out there as I talk with people who get in the sniper position who say, hey, we want to have this scenario or this scenario or this scenario that we want to practice on. But again, that's going to take people getting in the server, showing me what they want. The MILSIM consultants coming to me and saying, hey, a lot of bases have this. Maybe you should have this. So it's going to involve a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So hopefully we get a lot of like really committed people in this server who want to make this thing epic. All right, guys. So I think the last thing I need to show you that's in the server for now is the land assault vehicle area. Their training grounds and things like that, which won't be too hard to show off, but I do want to show you guys before we hop off. You guys, I just drove over here via four-wheeler versus, you know, trying to take a heli, and it only took a few minutes maybe to get over here. So the map isn't huge, but it can give each unit their breathing room if they need it, and that's something I really like, is that ability to, you know, make room where you need it, but also not have it be where I have to go on a cross-country hike, you know, to get to something I might want to do. All right, here we are at Camp Maxwell. There's a helipad here if you need it, but this is where the land assault vehicle guys would primarily do their business. As you can see, we have several tanks that you might want to play around with, to try. The tank system is really cool in ARMA. They do a really good job. There's like 3 positions you can turn in, turn out. Would love to get some guys who, you know, have IRL experience in tanks. I think that'd be pretty crazy to have. But we'll run down here real quick. Ooh, hit a little bit of mud on that turn there. I'll kind of show you guys like what I've got set up around. So I do have notifications here and at the other like live fire area. That these are live fire scenarios, so just be careful if you're just walking around these areas. You might get blown up by a tank. But I got vehicles like this, just kind of, you know, sparse throughout the map, that you and your guys can come through and just take shots at, learn the ranges, learn how to hit at those ranges, stuff like that. Again, I just think it'd be amazing to get a good team of guys to come through here with tanks. They really know what they're doing, or not even know what they're doing, are willing to put in the time to figure it out. We've got this guy here. We've even got a couple of mortar positions. I'll try to find those. I do. There we go. There's one of them. So you can see, like, that's a mortar position. There are 2 targets in that area, one here, one there. But there's a couple of those sparsed out throughout the area. Another tank right there. So there's a bunch of different options for them to come through and just take shots at stuff. And these guys' default weapon, by the way, is a little submachine gun. So you guys, those are my hopes and dreams for this server. I'm really excited to jump in with you guys. I've heard a lot about people who create these dedicated servers and how much they're like a blessing to these people just to have somewhere to go and jump into this world and just kind of be around like-minded people and make new friends and connections. And I'm really excited to jump in here with you guys. I'm going to have a link down below to the STAC Discord so you can get the application there. And I'm also just going to have a link to the application so you can skip the Discord part if you want. So please jump in, send those applications in. I can't wait to take a look at each and every one of you and bring you into the server. So I appreciate you guys. Please be safe, stay happy, and we'll see you in STAC. Peace.